Are Cherry MX speed switches really faster to actuate than other Cherry linears? Are linear switches faster than clicky ones? What about rubber dome boards? If they are faster, does it really matter? I set out to unscientifically answer these questions. Before we get to results, I'd like to point out some limitations of my testing. I cannot test how long it takes a switch to actuate with one keystroke, as I can't know exactly when I started pressing a key versus when it actuates. So I went to a site called 10 Fast Fingers to measure the presses per second after a string of 10 presses. This is very prone to human error, so I tested each switch 20 times, averaged the presses per second, and converted that to milliseconds between each actuation. All switches were tested on the same board, an XT75RE, and used the same GMK F4 keycap, except for the Topper and membrane board tests. On to the results. I tested Gateron Clears, Cherry Reds, Cherry Speeds, Cherry Blues, Box Jades, Cherry Brown, HHKB Topper, which I think is 45 grams, and a Dell Rubber Dome keyboard. The average time between actuations for Gateron Clear was 104.13 milliseconds. For Cherry MX Red, this was 104.65. It seemed that a lower weighted switch does not affect actuation time. The same goes for the Cherry Speed switch, which had an average of 104.09. These times are close enough to be purely human error, and I do not think that speed switches decrease the amount of time needed to actuate a switch in any meaningful way. The difference between linear and clicky switches, however, may be measurable. MX Blue had an average of 107.82 and Jade scored a 105.64. These times are so close to linear switches that I can't see them ever having a practical difference, but a difference there appears to be. The Rubber Dome board saw another increase in times, with the HHKB at 114.06 and the Dell at 110.4. The Dell keyboard was just a random membrane board I found around the house, something you would find in most offices. Topper had the highest of all times, although I cannot see 10 milliseconds, a hundredth of a second, making a meaningful difference in any scenario. I think it's safe to say that the marketing surrounding faster actuation for shorter travel switches is completely bogus. The feeling of the speed switch may be more appealing to those who like shorter travel, but the switches provide no benefit over other linears. It doesn't seem to matter what MX switch you use for gaming at all, and I seriously doubt the slower actuation time of Topper or normal Rubber Dome changes anything either. It's more about how fast an individual can press a key down. Switch type will probably not hold anyone back, even if you can press switches abnormally fast. Having 4-key rollover or greater, and the size of the keyboard giving more mousing room will affect gameplay much more than the type of switch in your board.